This is Sarah Milligan with Oklahoma State University Library Oral History Research Program. I'm here at the Chilocco campus at their annual reunion. Today's date is June 1st, 2018. I'm here talking with Matthew and Caroline Tiger. And we're just going to talk about both of their time at Chilocco and why they're here together. So maybe individually you all can sort of figure out who wants to go first. I'd like a little bit of background information on each of you. So like where you're from, maybe a little bit about your family and that sort of thing. Carolyn, I think you're getting volunteered to go first. I can see this.
I'm from Wyoming, the Wind River Reservation, and I'm a Arapaho.
So do you have any siblings?
I have 4 brothers, and 5 sisters. That's all. 9 and 10 in our family.
Okay.
But I'm the only girl left in I have one brother left. So.
For your surviving siblings?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Matthew?
I'm from Milgan, Oklahoma, and I'm Full Blood Creek, and I have 3 brothers. One's passed away, and I have 2 younger brothers, and I come from kind of a small family, I guess you'd say. But I guess the thing that's different about me is I was born and raised in a Christian home where I didn't really exposed to a lot of I know about my culture, but I wasn't the main thing in my life, and so. But that's kind of where I am. We have 9 grandchildren, and we have 2 great grandbabies. So, and we have a daughter that's our oldest daughter. She passed away a little over a year ago. So, and that's kind of where we are right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then let's talk a little bit about Chilocco. So how did you all end up, maybe that's another sort of separate side, I'm sure, but how did you all each end up at Chilocco? You want to go first, Carol?
I stayed with my sister in Washington. Went to school there in the 7th grade. And then I met this girl. She told me about Chilocco, and she said she was going to go to school down here. And she kind of talked me into it. And when I got back home to Wyoming, I asked my mom, and so we went ahead and filled some papers out, and then they accepted me. So I come down here in 1963, 64. Yeah.
Were you in the 8th grade then? Is that what?
I was in a sophomore.
Oh, you were a sophomore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to school in Washington. And then.
So how do you think that girl heard about Chilocco, that she was going to come down here?
She never did tell me. I don't know. She just heard about it, I guess, and some of her friends come down here.
So what did she say that made you want to go?
I don't know. We just talked about it, and it was like it was. I like going off to school, and it was kind of scary at first, but getting down here, I got used to it and made a lot of friends.
Do you remember coming down here for the first time?
Yeah, my mom put me on the bus to come down here, and I rode down here, and I got off at Ark City, and somebody come by and brought me here to Chilocco. And I lived in the dorm, home 3, I think it was. And it was scary at first, but I got used to it and made some friends.
What was scary about it at first?
It's being so big and so everything new. And my friend Gloria, she was already here. So then there was some other girls from Wyoming that come down here. And I didn't know them. I mean, I knew them, but I didn't know they was down here.
Were they from the same reservation you were
Yes.
from then? So you did know people, whether you knew one person for sure
Yeah.
that you were going to know. And
Yeah. And then when I got down here, I found out there's some other girls that were down here from our reservation. So,
Yeah.
and I went to school the first year, and my mom and my sister picked me up after school, and then I come back the following fall. So I was here till '66 and graduated.
Okay. So you went back to Wyoming during the summers
Mhm.
then?
Yeah.
So was that it sounds like you spent some time with a sister somewhere else, but was this the first time you were going to school away from home, or had you done that before you came down to Chilocco?
No, that was the first time. When I went to grade school, I went to Catholic school in Wyoming, St. Stephen's, and then I went there, and then I went to Newkirk, grade school.
Yeah.
And then until I got into 7th grade, I went to stay with my sister in Washington.
So when you were in 7th
Eighth.
grade, you went to stay with your
Mhm.
sister?
7th and 8th grade, the 9th grade. And then I come down here when I was a sophomore.
So what was interesting to you about coming to Chilocco versus staying in the school system you were at, or in the community you were?
I guess being, I used to get transferred to different schools, and I like to go in different schools and meeting different people.
Did you?
Friends.
That's interesting. I think a lot of people usually don't say, I wish I could move more times in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Catholic boarding school, and then I went to a grade school in Newkirk, and there's a little school at Ethity. So that's different schools.
What about you, Matthew? How did you end up at Chilocco?
I had made some not too good choices for myself, and my mom and my dad tried to straighten me out, and tried to get me on the right path, but I continued to make the wrong choices for a while. And they said, well, maybe if you went to a boarding school, maybe that would help you, So I didn't get into legal trouble or get thrown in jail or anything like that, but I was kind of rebellious, and I was not being who I needed to be towards my parents. I wasn't mean to them, but I just didn't listen like they needed to. And so they thought that this might be a place for me to come and get the discipline that it seemed like I was lacking at the time. So my dad filled out the papers, and I got accepted, and I came to school here in 1964. Yeah, I came here as a junior, and I finished out the junior year here, and I graduated also in 1966. So, I got adjusted to it after a while. I think the biggest part of it that was hard for me was when I first got here. I didn't live that far away from here, but I hadn't been away from my parents, So the hardest part for me was to see my mom and dad leave me here, then go back, and then I had to stay here, and that was difficult, and took some time to get adjusted to that. But after I was here for a while and made some friends and started getting some things lined out, it proved to be beneficial to me after I graduated, And some of the things that I learned while I was here, I still do, when I went to school here, we had the details that we did, you know, and we worked. I used to work over there across the road there in the chow hall, you know, and I was sweeping, mop the floors and clean up the milk dispensers and things like that, you know. And I had to keep my room clean, and we had to pass an inspection every day. And I learned to wash my clothes and iron my clothes and things like that. And you know, I tell her, you know, I don't do as much as I used to, but I learned how to iron my clothes so I could iron my clothes better than her, you know. And
I'm sure she was grateful for that, actually.
I still help her make the beds, and you know, some of the things that I learned while I was here, I still try to put into practice, and you know, try to pass it on to my kids and grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of that's how I ended up here.
So it was tough for you to see your parents leave. Did they drive you onto campus?
Yes, they brought me. My mom and dad didn't own a car, but they had a friend that owned a car. And actually, my mom didn't come. My dad brought me up here. So it was pretty hard at that time, you know.
Yeah.
But it took some time to get adjusted, you know. But I guess one of the things that I liked about being here was that, like my wife said, all the friends that I made, you know. I have friends sitting out there now that one is from Florida, you know, and I can go different places and reconnect with somebody that I met here, you know. And so I have friends all over the United States, you know. So it was good, you know, it was good. Like I said, it just took some time to get adjusted to it.
Yeah. What was the hardest thing to adjust to?
I think that being away from home, you know, and having to do a lot of these things for myself. I didn't have my mom there to wash my clothes, and I didn't have my mom there to make the bed for me, you know, and those kinds of things that I had to learn for myself, you know, which, like I said, helped me in the long run, you know. But and it was strict here, but it was I got treated fairly, you know. I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, I got treated fairly, and it was good for me.
Carolyn, did you do work duty?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I don't really remember what I did. Maybe probably got hours from being late to breakfast, or not going to breakfast, or.
Oh, you had disciplinary work duty is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You had details too.
Do you have details?
Yeah, we had details.
What
too.
was your detail that you did? Do you remember?
Working in the dining room, and they had a little cafe we used to work at. I don't remember what the name of it, but the older students could go there and eat. It's just like a restaurant, but we worked in there.
Yeah.
Like cleaning up and washing dishes.
So you were both in the food service area?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had someone tell me earlier that as long as they weren't in the bakery, because those people had to get up early.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I remember about my time here was we had to get up and go to breakfast, you know, but not like her. You know, we could, we had a choice. When she was here, they had to go to breakfast, or they would get the work detail, the extra duty hours if they didn't go to work, they would go to breakfast. So, but we had a little bit of freedom in that way, but it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
So when did that change happen then, from being required to go to having some choice?
For us guys, it was always here when I came.
Okay.
But when she was here, I think they were, and after we left, they were still required to go to breakfast, you know.
Yeah.
For the girls to go to breakfast, but the boys didn't have to.
Oh, it was boys versus girls for that, is what you're saying. So I thought, aren't you all there at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the
I think
difference.
that some mornings going to breakfast was at 6:30, and so some mornings, when especially during the winter time, you know, you would. Our dorm was way down on the other end, home 6, and so we had to come over to this building across the road there, And when you get up at 6:30 in the morning in the middle of winter time, it's very cold. And you got that cold air hitting you right in the face as you walk into the chow hall, you know. I remember that it was that part of it. I didn't really care too much for, you know. But it was okay. After you got used to it.
Yeah. Well, at least you were used to the weather. I don't know, from Wyoming, I'm sure it's different weather to get used to. Maybe the heat, I know the heat's different down here than Wyoming.
Yeah.
So, did you all meet when you were here in school then?
Yeah. We met here the last part of our junior year. And her friend, what she's talking about, Gloria, was one of them that introduced us, and that was in our junior year. And then we stayed in contact during the summertime, you know, like letters and stuff like that, you know. And
then
then
most of it riding.
and we came back in 65 and 66, and we graduated in May of 1966, and then we got married in June of 1966. This month we'll be celebrating our 52nd anniversary.
Oh my goodness, congratulations.
Been together for a long time.
Yeah. Well, do you come back to most reunions?
You know, it's odd, you know, that you asked that, because we lived right here in Oklahoma. But for a long time, we didn't come to the graduation. But I had the opportunity to go to work in Florida for the Seminole Tribe of Florida. And my friend down there, the one I was talking about earlier, he would come up here. And so he invited us to come up here with him, and that's how we started coming, you know. But every year we try to come, you know, as often as we can. You know. And it's pretty fun, you know. It's pretty fun to get to reconnect with people and reminisce about things, you know. So it's good.
Mm-hmm. So you all got introduced together, but how did you actually get to know each other on campus here? Was there social things that you got to do together? I don't even know. How do you date on the Chilocco campus?
Well,
when they ask you to date you, they usually come pick you up. And then we go to a movie. It used to be a movie over there at the high school, or to a dance. They had different activities you can do. But we never did leave the campus.
So you get picked up at home and dropped off?
You walk up there and check me out, and we'll go to the movie, or we'll go to dance or something. Whatever.
Did you have to really sign her out? Like, did you have to, like, what does that mean, check me out? Like,
she had to sign out that she was going out on a date. That's what she's talking about,
I see.
You know, but I stayed down there at home 6, and her dorm was down here at home 5. So I had to walk down there and pick her up. We didn't have a vehicle, we just walked over there. And then we went to a movie over in an auditorium, and we would go to a dance at the old gymnasium, you know. That was pretty much our dating time, you know. We weren't allowed to see each other off the campus, you know, so everything was pretty structured, and they watched you here, you know. They had free time, where you could be with your girlfriend or boyfriend here on what we call the Oval. You know, you could socialize together. Even then, they were watchful. You know, if you got carried away with affection and showing affection to each other, you got in trouble. So, you know, those kinds of things, you know. That's how we got together, you know.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, you know. And but like I said, we've been together for a long time. And it started right here, you know. And I think I guess that's probably one of the most rewarding part about I was meeting her here, you know, because you know, like I said, we've been together for over half a century now.
You crossed that mark, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, so when you, when I was thinking about this too with the Oval, I've heard, I remember, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, that big tree that was out front fell over, like the day before the reunion maybe. And I remember hearing people talking about that was like a tree that couples used to hide behind,
yeah,
and there were
yeah.
all these
Yeah.
places
The-
that you could kind of get away from prying eyes.
Yeah, there was some bushes that I used to see people sneak off behind, but even then you would get caught. So
I'm sure the teachers
Yeah.
knew which bushes to check,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I guess we thought we was fooling them, but they've been down that road before, so and we used to have out there in the middle of the oval. There's that water thing that we used to socialize over there.
Yeah, the
Not with
fountain.
only with each other, but with other friends, we used to get together over there.
Yeah. At the fountain that's still
Yeah,
out there, right?
yeah.
It's just not on right now, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, right there, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when they used to fill it up, or clean it out and fill it up. They used to throw the girls in there. The boys used to throw them in there. She'd be just hollering and screaming. And I got thrown in once.
Did you?
So,
What do you do? Is there a way to retaliate against that?
no, nobody won't help you. Yeah, all those boys dragging you to the fish pond.
That was kind of like a way of showing that they cared about you when they did that. That's the way it was explained to us, that if they did that to you, that they showed you that they thought of you and that they would thoughts behind you to put you in the water. As strange as it may sound, yeah.
Liked you enough to dunk you in the water.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too cool, but it's that's what it was explained to me, and sometimes the guys would be just sitting on the wall of the fountain out there, and some of the girls would just come out and push the guys off in there too, So it wasn't just the girls, sometimes the guys got pushed in there though. But I never seen no girl pick up a guy and throw her in there like they did the girls, But, I seen guys get pushed in there by other guys or even girls, So yes, it was fun,
Did you all get in trouble from your teachers or the
No.
matrons or anything? No,
No.
they just
No.
expected it by that
It's
point.
something that they learn to accept.
Uh-huh.
We had and I don't know if anyone's mentioned it to you, but when we were here, we used to have what they call a play day here, and that was did somebody mention that to you?
Well, I don't know if I'm thinking about the same thing. You explained it to me.
There was, I think it's usually in the early spring or in the springtime of the year. They have a play area back in the woods back there, and they would go back there and play ball and just kind of hang out together and do some stuff. But the girls would go to that play area from this way, and so the boys had to go that way. So they weren't allowed to mingle. So when you got down there and the play day was over, you had to come back that way, and the girls had to come back that way. But they allowed us that time to go down there to just to socialize and play games and just things like that.
Was that? I've seen pictures and things of like watermelon socials and things
Yeah.
like that. Is that sort of
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I think they used to have ice cream, what they call ice cream socials, and watermelon. When those things kind of happened when school first started back up, like you would come early, right before school started, right after school started, those things happened.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting that you all had to go separate paths even just to get to the same.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
Yeah, because they didn't want the girls and the boys to end up doing things they shouldn't be doing, so they had them go different routes. So,
Yeah, disappear in the woods on the way there.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
So, but there was always separated us, and it was probably a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Did you all have separate eating space, or were you all mingled then?
we had a boys' side and a girls' side, and
The boys come on this side, inside, and then the girls on
On the other side.
the other side.
So you all could like moon at each other from across the
Yeah,
room.
that's about
Wave,
it.
but-
Yeah. That's about it, Yeah. And in Chaho on that side, what they called what they would call now elementary students would come in that side. But the high school kids would go on this side and they would be on this end.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting, you know.
Yeah. So you all talked a little bit about some of the friendships that you made. I'm curious if you remember any of your, like, are there special memories with teachers or classes or anything like that? I'm going to think pretty hard about the school part.
Do we have school?
Why were we here?
Why did we come here?
I remember Mr. Haskell in our sophomore. He was a pretty good teacher. I liked him. I think he taught history. I'm not sure.
I
And
think
the matrons.
Mhm.
Do you remember some of the matrons?
We had a guy that was a matron in the building that I was in, and his last name was Mr. Bieber, and he worked the night shift, and he's the one that woke us up in the mornings, you know, to get up and go to breakfast and start cleaning the room, get ready to go to school, you know. And he'd come around, and I think it was about 6 o'clock or so, he'd wake us up. You know how he would wake us up? He had a trash can, one of those old metal trash cans, and he had a big old stick, and he just beat on it, you know, and then he'd wake you up. He'd walk down the hall, and if you didn't get up, he'd come in your room and, you know, wake you up. But I remember Mr. Bieber, you know, and doing that, you know, and so it was, that was all part of teaching us discipline, I guess you'd say. At the time, it didn't seem like it, but that's what it was. It ended up being that, you know, and cleaning your rooms and working the details, and you know, you was getting the structure and the discipline that you needed, you know, that maybe for whatever reason you might not be getting at home. You know? So I remember that part, you know. And like I said earlier, it helped me, you know, even today.
Do you think, because you said that you came here because you or your parents gave you the strong suggestion maybe to come here, because you were having some disciplinary problems, do you think that this was the fit for you that you needed disciplinary wise?
Now that I look back on it, I think it was, you know, and at the time it didn't seem like it, but you know, as the longer I was here and the things that I had to be a part of, you know, it worked out that way, you know, that I did get the discipline and the direction that I needed, you know, while I was here, you know. And I guess that's probably what I would put in my mind about this place, you know. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's what brings me back here, you know, to come back when I get.
Yeah. Did either of you have family members that either came to Chilocco or another boarding school, or an Indian boarding school, I guess specifically?
I had a couple of nieces come here in the 80s, I think, or 70s.
70s, yeah. So after you came, was that part of, did that have anything to do with you and your experience?
No, I didn't even know they was coming.
Oh yeah?
So they come here. And my sister went to, two of my sisters went to Haskell. Maybe that's where I learned about boarding schools.
Yeah. Well,
my older brother went to Haskell.
Oh.
Yeah, and you know, I just thought of this, you know, that it's, he went to school there, and then brother next to me, he went to school there. My brother, oldest brother, it was a high school when he went there. But when the one next to me, my brother went, it was, they call it Haskell Indian Nations University now. That's what it was when he went, you know, and so. We had some relatives. I have a cousin that went to school at Haskell. At the same time, her sister was there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I wonder why that you all didn't end up at Haskell with this family. Like why?
Well, I think a lot of it too was Haskell was it's where all the kids went to school. So it was kind of booked up a lot, you know, and so you had to get ahead of the game, you know, and get your paperwork and stuff like that in early just to get in. And I think that's why I didn't go, you know, because that we had talked about that with my parents, and I come to find out that it was full. You know.
I see. So they had looked at other
Yeah,
options besides Chilocco?
Yeah.
Do you know how they settled on Chilocco for you?
Not really. I don't. I think it was kind of like the last option because the other schools was full. You know, so this is how I ended up here. You know, and it was hard.
Yeah. Well, for you, it was close to home too.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
interesting.
close
That
to
wasn't.
home, yeah. I'm probably about 2.5 hours away from here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not like her.
No, Wyoming's quite a bit farther.
Yeah. All the time we could go home is after the school year is out.
Right. Was it hard to convince your mom or anybody else to let you come down here? I know you said that you went back and asked, and
Yeah. It was, you get lonesome, you know, especially during the holidays.
yeah.
You know, see your family. But then the kids that lived here in Oklahoma, you know, close by, they can go home. But the ones that lived out of state, they had to stay.
Yeah.
So it was kind of quiet.
What did you do, for example, for Christmas if you were on campus? What were some of the things that you did?
They had Christmas parties and church service, you know, like I went to this Catholic church and they used to have caroling. You can go caroling different, I guess the teachers that lived here, and go to their house and sing.
Oh,
But it was pretty fun. I mean, they had things to do, you know, that for the kids to stay, when they stayed here, they had. But,
yeah. I don't think that I quite have been able to understand because there's a lot of different denominations of students here.
Mhm.
So for example, if you went to Catholic church, did you all go off campus for that or did they bring
No.
service on campus?
They were down there, they used to have a Catholic church. And then they had Baptist, and then they had different Methodists, I guess, different.
Oh, here on campus
churches.
they had physical buildings for each of the different services?
Well, they
different
just used some of the
denominations?
buildings. They didn't have a church building for Methodists and Catholics. They just used some of the building space that was already here.
Oh, okay, so maybe there was a pastor or a
Yeah.
priest
Yeah.
assigned.
Yeah, they came from town or someplace, and every so often they come out and do a service. And well, I'm from the Baptist, you know, so
Right.
so we had a place over here on the southwest part of the campus that they had a upstairs area, kind of like a classroom that, you know, they used for services. So that's where I went, not all the time, but I went sometimes.
You went sometimes. You were away from your parents.
Yeah.
So it wasn't mandatory that you
Yeah.
go to some kind of
Sometimes-
church.
Sometimes I would go with her. She would go to Catholic church, you know. Every now and then I'd go to church with her, you know. So she would never go to church with me, but I went to church with her.
I can see the way this relationship started, right? You wrote to her during the summer, you sometimes went to her church.
But you know, it's odd that how, I guess probably the wrong word to say, but now we both go to church together, you know, and we both go to the Baptist church, you know. I'm an associate pastor of a church in Edmond, and recently we just moved back from Florida. We pastored a church down there for 7 years with the Florida Seminoles.
Oh.
So, but I've been in the ministry for a long time, and we both go to the same church now, so she had no choice.
You got too involved and she had to come over. Yeah, I saw that you all live in Moore now. So how long were you in Florida then?
7 years.
Oh, that's what you said, 7 years since you were
yeah.
down there, not just the 7 years as in the church.
No, but off and on there since 2004 or 5, we went back and forth to Florida.
I see.
And we get down to Florida and get lost and come back home. And you know, back then when all that was going on, the employment opportunities wasn't too good here in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So we come back and couldn't find a job, so, you know, I called my friend, he said, come on back, we'll put you to work. So I think we just went back and forth, and then the last time we went, I had a job, and I just started working there, and then the preacher of the pastor of the church, he decided to step away from it. And I guess I was calling a bivocational pastor at the time, but the church wanted someone to be the pastor all the time, so I gave up my job and became a full-time pastor. And so, you know, we went back and forth for a while there. But the 7 years was the longest time we spent in Florida.
I see. Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I do want to kind of get a little bit to what you all did after Chilocco too. So I'm curious. I know there was like a lot of vocational opportunities on campus here too, or some job training, I think, at that time too. Did you all do any of that sort of track, or did you strictly just do like school and work detail? Or?
When I was going to school here, they had a electricity class, you know, and I took that when I was here. And I kind of dabbled in it, but I never made a career out of it, you know. And so,
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I did. I don't know.
Did you do any vocational training or job readiness?
They had a, what do you call it, a cosmetology class
Yeah.
up here in that dining room. I took that. I was really interested in it. And then I took home ec. That she taught us how to sew, and I really liked it. So.
Yeah. So did you ever do anything with the cosmetology or anything else?
No, it was too hard. You had to learn all those hard words, and so I'm probably afraid of I might mess somebody's hair up.
There's not many places you can hide here if you mess someone's hair up.
No, my hair, I got in trouble. My mom picked me up after school, and here I went and dyed my hair, and it turned red. So she was really upset about me. My hair was real red.
When she came to get you in like May?
Yeah. She said, "What'd you do?"
So after, when you all graduated, I know you were on the road to marriage. How did you all end up getting engaged? Do you remember?
Well, I don't think we really had what, you know, normal engagement. I think when we were here together, you know, we had talked about getting married, so there was really never a time where I really gave her an engagement ring or nothing. But I did ask her, you know, when we were here, if, you know, she would do that. And she said, you know, at the time she had thought about doing something else, and then we talked about it more, and then she decided to become my wife. And so we really didn't have an engagement time. We got. I tell people this. I said I got graduated from high school and I got married in June. So there was no engagement time.
Oh.
So that's kind of how we you know, and just like a lot of couples, you know, we went from here to universities and college. I went to college for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, she's been a stay-at-home mother, you know, and so she's been a homemaker most of her time. There was a period of time where she did some work, you know, had a job, but it wasn't that long, you know. So I was blessed to be able to take care of both of us at the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't have to work. She raised the children, took care of the children.
That's a job.
Yeah, and that was her, you know, that was her job, you know, and so she did that. But, you know, saying, you know, finances get tough sometimes, so there was a period of time when she did have to work for both of us to make the ends meet, you know how that goes, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it all worked out, you know. She's talking about sewing. She still sews, you know, and so. My grandkids, I said, "Grandma, can you sew this for me?" And so Grandma sews stuff for them, you know. So but she don't sew nothing for me, but she sews something for everybody.
You can do your own. You can iron better. I can see where this is going.
He does his own clothes.
So when you all graduated, did you feel ready to go out and, I guess that time you were married, so you were adults.
Yeah.
Did you feel prepared?
We thought we were, like a lot of young couples, they think they're prepared, but in reality, it's what do they call it? A work in progress. That's kind of what we did. We worked it together, and it all worked out pretty good for us,
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't sit down and evaluate everything, I think the thing that stuck with us was that we wanted to be together, and I think that's what drove us to make this decision to get married right after we got out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some friends of ours that went to school here, that they got married and they didn't stay together, So I guess that goes back to that we must have made the right choice somewhere along the way, So it's been okay.
Lot of prayers, probably from his mom and my mom probably.
Uh-huh.
But we had hard times and good times, We struggled. Sometimes we didn't have no hardly making it, but stayed together.
Mm-hmm. How was your mom about you making the decision to get married right after school and not come back to Wyoming, it sounds like?
I talked to her about it, and she said if that was wanted to do that, so it's okay with me. My sister wanted to have a big wedding, but we just had a small wedding because his dad was homebound, and he couldn't hardly get out.
Mm-hmm.
So we got married after his mom and dad's home.
Oh, in Mulgi.
So it was a small wedding.
Yeah.
And then,
My dad suffered from
emphysema.
emphysema, and so he wasn't able to walk great distances, and his health was failing him, and so we decided just to have a very small family wedding at my dad and mom's house. And we had a man that did the wedding for us. My father was he was a preacher too, and he had a friend that did the wedding for us.
I see.
So I'll never forgive that man. No, I'm just kidding.
I can tell. So when you all come back to campus for these reunions, what is something you look forward to seeing while you're here?
Our friends.
The people first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good to see them. Seem like there's just family.
Yeah.
You just keep in touch. I got my friend Gloria. She lives in Washington. I got to see her. It was about a year ago, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We went up to Washington. My sister had died, and so we went up there for her funeral, and I got to see my friend Gloria, and our friends from school that went here too. So it's just like seeing your family, kind of like your family.
What about the campus? Is it meaningful for you all at all to come back to the campus, or does it really matter the location where the reunion is?
To me, I agree with my wife that we come for our friends, and I like coming here, it's just like my home. But the thing that really breaks my heart is to see the condition of the buildings, and I wish there was some way that someone could fix the place up, because there's so much good things that we experience while we're here, and it's like coming home to see how in disarray and dilapidated and being demolished. It really tears at your heart. So, but I come because like she said, we have friends from all over the country that come, and so the buildings, you know how they are, so you kind of have to spend time with your friends and reminisce and think about the good memories, because the sad part is the buildings, they'll never be the same again.
Right. If you all could have a magic wish about that, what would you like to see happen with campus?
Myself, I'd like to see them just like it was when we were here. You know, if I had access to finances to do that, I would have not hesitate to do that. You know, because like I said, there's a lot of good memories and a lot of good things here that I remember. That is part of my life, but I don't want to see it just be destroyed.
Yeah. What about what would you want people who've never been involved with Chilocco before, that don't know anything about it, what would you want them to know about this school?
It's a wonderful place. It is, and it's it's a family situation when we were here, you know, and like we said, it's like she said, that we have friends and they're just like part of our family, and I think that would be the thing that I would say, you know, if there's somebody that's having difficulty with their children, if they have access to a place like this that can bring structure and can bring discipline into their life, you know, I would recommend that they would seriously consider something like that, because it does make a difference, you know. And you know, I know it helped both of us, you know, and so that's what I would tell them, you know, that it's a wonderful place, and I don't regret my time here, you know. You know, I don't regret my time here. I think the only biggest regret I have about this is that the circumstances that I come under to get here, you know. But because of some of the things that took place while I was here, you know, that it changed my outlook on life, and like I said earlier, brought the discipline and the structure that I needed for myself. And so, you know, to me, it's a special place. To both of us, it's a special place. You know, and another reason is because this is where we met. You know, so that you know, that makes it kind of special too. You know, so.
The fountain.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
what about you? Do you have any thoughts for people that you'd want them to know about?
I mean, there's this place that people care about you, you know, that will kind of guide you, and if you did something wrong or something, you get disciplined, and you have to work hours off. You can't go any place till you got an hour worked off, and you can go. And that's teaches you not to do it anymore, or do it, and, you know. Just like a parent, you know, discipline you.
I remember one time when we were here, she'll probably get mad at me about that. This will probably be one of those things we'll take off after we.
You'll have time to review.
I had asked her to go to a movie, and for some reason, I don't know what she did. Maybe she didn't go to breakfast or something, but she had got some extra duty hours, you know, and we were supposed to go to the movie that night, and there used to be an area out here where you could go play ball and stuff like that, and I was out there just fooling around, and she wasn't there, so I was wondering where she was. And she come out of the back of that building. She stayed in carrying a big old trash can, because she was working those hours off so she could go to the movie that night. So that's why I said this will probably be part of it that's going to be taken off.
I think I've already guessed that she had some hours that she had to put in that were extra. But it's also not fair, because you had the choice to miss breakfast and she didn't. You should have helped her with that trash can.
But I couldn't go over to that.
So if you had made a date and, for example, you couldn't come, how did you let someone know that you had duty and couldn't come?
Well, they had phones in the dorm.
Oh, so you could call each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't have to like send a runner or
No.
anything out.
So I can't go. So I apologize. I can't go. So I got hours.
That's one thing I remember too. When we stayed in home 6, and she was in home 5, And they had telephone down there, and we had telephone down there. So the guys would call their girlfriends, you know, and you'd have to stand in line, because, you know, there'd be a line, long line, and you had to wait. And for some reason, they had a policy for a length of time you could be on the phone, but it never got enforced, you know, so, you know, but there was always a long line because the guys was talking to their girlfriends, so that's how we dealt with that, you know. If she couldn't go, or if I had got into trouble, you know, I'd have to call her, tell her I can't make it, you know. That's how we communicated that part.
Yeah, and everyone can hear your conversation in the line behind you.
Yeah. I remember them guys used to, you know how girls are and ladies are, they like to, they'll tell you they love you, you know, and they want you to say the same thing to them. And I remember seeing these guys, their girlfriend would be talking on the phone to them, and evidently they would tell him, I love you, and they want him to say that. He would say, you know, because he knew he was going to get razzed if he said it out where everybody could hear him, you know, so. And sometimes they would say, me too. Because, you know, it was just part of the deal growing up here, you know, that you were, they razz you about things, you know. So.
Everything was in front of everyone, everything was public.
Yeah. There was no secrets there.
I'm sure especially in the dorms that you lived in, right?
Yeah. But I remember seeing that guys would be hiding around trying to get that in and avoid all the razzing that took place with it.
So what did you choose? Did you man up and say it, or did you say me too?
I was always at the end of the line, so it never was a deal with me.
And strategic at the very end.
I made it the point to be at the end of the line.
That's pretty smart. Pretty smart. Well, I think for me that was all the questions that I had. I'm wondering if you have anything that you think I missed or that you want to talk about, or make sure that you get a chance to share.
I don't know if this is something that can. I know that this school is listed on the Historical Society as a historical site. I wonder why something hasn't been done to try to at least restore some of the buildings, you know, and you know, because it is an important piece of history to those of us that went to school here, you know. It's a part of our lives, you know, and for us to come back here year after year to see it like that, you know, like I said earlier, it's really heartbreaking, you know. I don't know if there was, that's something that could ever take place or not, you know, but that would be what I would hope for, you know, because, you know, we bring our son, we brought our son here before, and we bring our grandchildren here and say this is where we met, this is where we went to school, you know. And I guess what disturbs me is that one day it might not be here, you know. And if there was some way to change the direction that it's going, you know, that I would be very in favor of it, you know. And I don't think I'm speaking by myself in that part, you know, because I've heard it since we've been here today, you know, that I was talking to a lady around here a while ago. She said it's just disheartening, you know, to see the old school building, the escape in and things like that. You know, so that would be what I would say. You know, I don't know what kind of action can be taken, but if any, you know, but I would hope something would be done to try to restore the place, you know. So that would be what I'd say.
Well, it's important. What about you?
I was looking at the buildings a while ago, how they were first built, and there was some beautiful buildings there. That Home 3 is really pretty, and that's, I don't know what that, Home 5 or something, I don't know. The boys' building, what was your 6?
6.
So it must have been 5.
You was in 5, it's about it.
That was, no, I get them all mixed up, but they sure were beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the buildings kept being worked on and built for pretty much as long as you were on campus.
Yeah.
A lot of new things being built even in the 50s and 60s, it seems like.
You know, the architectural design of these buildings, you don't see that always much, you know, so it's unique in that respect, you know, that maybe worthwhile to try to keep that, you know.
Yeah.
It is a monument to me. To me, it is a monument, you know, and it is to her because you know, this is part of our life. You know.
Yeah. Does your family who went to Haskell, do they go back to reunions at Haskell like you all do at Chilocco?
No.
No.
My sister, both my sisters are gone, so, but my nephews, my nieces, I thought one of my nieces would be here, but I think she would move back to Wyoming, so.
Yeah.
My brother owns next to me. You know, he was on the board of regents at Haskell, so he just recently resigned. You know, he had some other things that he's doing, so he didn't have time to give it justice. So he resigned from that. But from what I remember of my older brother, he never did go back. You know, he didn't go back. But he talked about it a lot. You know, he talked about kind of like us. You know, reminiscing, tell you how they felt when they were there. You know, he did.
Yeah.
I remember him talking about that, but he never did go back to be a part of the reunion process. You know.
Yeah. Interesting. I was just curious. You just see so many people come to this reunion too.
Mhm.
It's so such a vibrant alumni association.
Yeah, and I hope it stays that way. You know, and my friend Mitchell Cypress, he said something. I don't know if you heard him earlier. He said that, you know, we don't know. Just we'll be back here next year or not. You know, so you know, to be able to spend time with people that you are close to. You know, so I'll stop at this story. This lady that's part of our class. She went to she was at Mount Rushmore, just sightseeing, I guess you'd say. And this guy walked up to her and started talking to her. And it was somebody that was part of our class that was here. And you know, and she said, you know what, I hadn't seen, his name was Danny. She said, I hadn't seen Danny since we graduated in 1966. And here he comes walking up and talking to me. And she said that was truly a blessing. She said, it was, you know, like we said, you run across people from all over the country, you know. So she was telling us about how that really affected her because she knew him and she had a good relationship. You know, I'm not talking about a romantic relationship, but a friendship, you know, a bond. And that's what I tell people here. I have bonds with people that are all over the country by just being here, you know. And so that's why I'm with Mitchell Cypress is, you know, he's in Florida, but we have a special bond that we were kind of like tied to for the rest of our life, you know. So it's interesting, you know. It's something that a lot of people don't have, you know, and it's unique in that respect. So I'll shut up now.
Well, I've enjoyed talking with you all. I can stop it here unless there is anything else that you all want to cover. Are you good too?
Yeah.